Welcome to Saki Soul Stories, where the silenced voices of women rise with strength, truth, and fire. Today we remember Draupadi, the woman born of flames, the queen whose dignity shook kingdoms, and whose fire still burns as the voice of justice. Draupadi was not born of a mother's womb. She rose from the sacred fire of a yajna, fierce and radiant, a daughter gifted to King Drupada. From her first breath, destiny followed her like a shadow. Sages and kings whispered that this woman would shape the fate of empires. Her beauty dazzled many, but it was the unyielding spark in her spirit that marked her as extraordinary. At her swayamvara, kings and warriors gathered, hoping to win her hand. The challenge was nearly impossible. To string a massive bow and strike the eye of a moving fish reflected only in water. One by one they failed. Then came a humble Brahmin, none other than Arjuna in disguise. With calm strength, he lifted the bow, strung it, and struck the target. The hall erupted in disbelief, but Draupadi garlanded him without hesitation. Fate, however, had more designs. By Kunti's word, she became the wife of all 5 Pandavas. Some called her cursed, others pitied her. But Draupadi accepted destiny with dignity, giving her loyalty fully, and walking beside her husbands through palaces and forests alike. In Indraprastha, the palace of illusions was built. Crystal floors that looked like rivers, walls that shimmered like light. When Duryodhana visited, arrogance clouded his eyes. Mistaking water for solid ground, he fell. Draupadi's natural laughter pierced his pride. Humiliated, he swore he would see her brought low. His oath became the seed of her deepest trials. That moment arrived in the court of Hastinapura, where the Pandavas were ensnared in Shakuni's cruel game of dice. They lost their jewels, their kingdom, their freedom, and finally, Draupadi herself. Dragged by her hair into the assembly, she stood before kings and elders. Her voice rose in question. Did Yudhishthira lose me before he lost himself or after? If he had already lost himself, how could he stake me? But silence filled the hall. No elder came to her aid. Then Dushasana, blinded by cruelty, tried to strip her of her honor. Draupadi lifted her hands in prayer to Krishna, and the divine answered. As he pulled at her sari, the fabric became endless, flowing without end. The more he pulled, the more it grew. The court gasped as her dignity was shielded by a miracle. That day, the world witnessed that when truth and courage stand together, even the universe will protect a woman. Humiliated yet unbroken, Draupadi made a terrible vow. She would not tie her hair until it was washed in Dushasana's blood. Some called it vengeance, but she called it justice. For a woman's dignity is not her own alone. It is the dignity of all creation. Years of exile followed. Draupadi endured hardship beside her husbands, cooking on stones, bearing thirst, and consoling her children. Once, when the fiery sage Durvasa demanded food, they had none. Draupadi prayed, and Krishna came. From a single grain in their vessel, he satisfied the hunger of the world. Even in the forest, she reminded her husbands, "Do not forget the insult I bore in Hastinapura. True strength is not in kingdoms, but in standing for Dharma." She was not only their wife, she was their conscience. Then came Kurukshetra, the battlefield of justice. For 18 days the earth ran red with blood. Draupadi's vow burned in Bhima's heart. In fury, he struck down Dushasana, tore open his chest and drank his blood. Only then did Draupadi wash her hair, heavy with the scent of justice and sorrow. Yet when the war was over and kingdoms lay in ashes, people asked her if her fire was satisfied. She answered that victory cannot erase pain. What she sought was not revenge, but justice. Justice that no woman's dignity ever again be gambled away. Justice that no man ever mistake silence for submission. Centuries have passed, but Draupadi's fire still burns. She is remembered not as a victim, but as the woman who refused to be silenced. She was the first to question kings in open court. She proved that when a woman stands unyielding, her voice can shake empires, and even the gods descend to protect her. Draupadi was fire. Not the woman broken in Hastinapura, but the woman who turned humiliation into thunder, silence into history, and injustice into the call for a new world. And to every listener, she leaves this truth. Never let anyone convince you that you are powerless. Your voice is your weapon, your dignity is your crown, and your fire is your truth. Thank you for watching Saki Soul Stories. If Draupadi's journey touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Together, let us honor the voices of women whose fire still burns in every age.